Hi, I'm going to walk you through how to trade cryptocurrency. Now, my name is Brian. I'm not a financial advisor. That's my disclaimer. I'm going to show you a system, essentially, from beginning to end of trading cryptocurrency. Now, as a live stream, this might go a little slow. I'll do it as quickly as I can. There might be little hiccups here and there because I'm not editing this. Obviously, it's just going out live. But let's get started. And let me first say what I'm going to show you here is I have a crypto school. There's a link should be a link here on the screen. If not, it's going to be in the description. I'll add it afterwards. It'll take you right to the crypto school if you're interested in signing up. We've got various courses. We're going to be talking about this course of an intraday crypto trading system. Now, if we dive in here, you can see it's got multiple videos, and I'm going to basically walk you through this now. It takes quite a while to get through it. I believe it's worth it. Also, there is an entire script, which we'll talk about, and I'll show you that you can add to TradingView to give you buy and sell signals. Now, I call it the intraday crypto trading system. There's many different ways that you can trade cryptocurrency, meaning different systems or structures. You'll see people talking about technical analysis and that sort of thing. In my opinion, what I do, and what a lot of successful traders do, is regardless of the system that they're using, they've created a system that they like to follow because they believe it's going to decrease the risk. They're going to, over time, they've learned what things might lead to bad outcomes, what things might lead to good outcomes. So you want to eliminate the things leading to bad outcomes and put in the things leading to good ones. So this is by no means the ultimate system. It is one of many. But I'm very methodical such that I like to have a system that I stick to because that's where I find I can be most successful. Now, why do people trade? Let me just show you like some cryptocurrencies we'll talk about. Like these are the top 20. When you hear people talk about leverage trading, or they might say that it's perpetuals trading or futures, perpetual futures. Okay, what does all that mean? Well, perpetual means it goes on forever. So in stocks, you might have what they call contracts that expire. But in this case, with cryptocurrencies, you can essentially use leverage, and that's what people are doing. So two different ways to trade it. On the one hand, you could just buy, let's say 100 XRP. And then if the price goes up and you think, oh, that's a nice profit, I think I'll sell my 100 XRP. Well, leverage trading means that you're actually borrowing the ability to purchase more. So if you're using leverage, and let's say it's 10x leverage, that would mean that instead of buying 100, you would actually buy 1,000. And you may not have the money to do that, so you're using leverage, and that comes with rules. You can be liquidated if the price goes down too low, all these other rules. I explain all that in another course, but today we're just going to talk about the trading itself, the buying and selling. So let's get into that. Now, first thing I wanted to go over, I'm going to go through my outline here, is the fact that I like to use direction. Or I should say directional trading. And that is because momentum matters. So I take a large view of what's going on in the market, and then I go all the way down to the point where I'm willing to make an entry. So this is the total crypto market. TOTAL shows the whole market. This is on a weekly basis. I like to look at the stock market, even though I'm trading crypto, and see which direction is it going. And then look at the total crypto market and see which direction is it going. Now, this is a weekly chart. It gives you a general idea. You can see here on a weekly, it's been essentially down, had some up weeks, but mostly down weeks, because you're also trying to determine, are you going to want to predominantly long or predominantly short? Now, you can drill down, of course, here on TradingView, and most of these exchanges allow you to use, looks just like TradingView, and you can use the same indicators. We go down to the daily. It's like, all right, so that week was showing down, but within the week, there were green days up and there were red days down. So for me, if this particular day is really down, I'm not going to be taking long positions. I might be taking short positions. Now, what these bars look like can matter. The whole course goes into details. I'm just trying to stay a little general here to give you an idea. But if you're taking longs, hoping it's going to go up, sure, during the day it's going to go up and down. But the odds are on a down day that the ups will be smaller percentage-wise and the downs will be larger percentage-wise because it's trending downwards. Typically, that's what happens. So this is going to give me an idea. Now, as I mentioned, if I'm thinking about shorting because of this, well, I would also want the stock market to be on a downtrend. There are days that I just won't trade at all. If the stock market's going up and the crypto market's going down, and then the crypto market, when you dive into it on a daily, is down, but on the hourly it might be up, but on the 30-minute it might be down, and it's just too choppy. So I like to think of it as everything moving in the same direction. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that the stock market today is going down. The daily is going down. So then I look into, and they've got hourly charts. You can do 4, 3, 2, 1, and then minute charts. So we might jump in here to something like a 4-hour and say, okay, on the 4-hour chart, what are we looking at? Each one of these bars is 4 hours. Well, for the last 3 bars, almost 12 hours, it's been going down. Okay, let's take a look at the 1 hour. Interesting. During those 12 hours, you would expect the 1 hours to be coming down, and they are. It's interesting that there are no greens in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in the last 8 hours, no greens at all. Just been coming down. Then we hop in 30-minute, had 1 or 2 small greens, maybe a little one there, predominantly down. 15-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute. All of these are, now you're getting a little more choppy here in the 15, but that's to be expected because we're on a smaller time frame and nothing goes just completely down unless it's a crazy day. Then we jump into something like a 5-minute. That's where I like to make my entries and exits. Sometimes exiting on a 2 or 3 minute just to give me a better idea. So that's the first thing, is look at the total market's momentum. And what we're seeing here is that the entire market on a weekly is down. On a daily is down. And even stocks on the daily are down. Then we look at a 4-hour, down. 1 hour, down. 30-minute, down. 15-minute, down. I wouldn't dare put any longs in unless I really saw what I thought was a strong setup. But if you want to stay within the rules, you would say not going to be a long day. This happens to be a 50-day moving average. I should say that's not correct. If it's on a daily chart, it's a 50-day. It's 50 points. So on the daily, I like to see it above. That's a really strong signal for buys if it's above the 50 versus below. So if this is a 5-minute chart, these are 50, it's averaging the last 50 5-minute bars, and it's below it. So below it is where we're more likely to put our shorts than longs. And there's other things that go into that. Now let's take a look at, we talked about market direction. Let's look at an actual chart here. We'll look at XLM just to give you an idea. Now, part of this course, if you happen to join the crypto school, I have a whole nother course going over indicators of exactly when to get in and out, and I'll show you those. And there is if you're familiar, you can add indicators to these. Like you can click and say, all right, we're going to add MACD, for example, I like. And that indicator is added down here. You can also add your own indicators. I've got one that you can copy and paste. I show you exactly how to set it up. I'm going to turn it on. Look what happens. That is what you want to see. Buy and sell signals. Now, I walk through exactly what this is doing. It's taken into account a couple indicators, and when they hit, it gives either a buy or a sell. I also use different indicators in addition to this, but it gives you a good start. As you can see here, buy is green, red is sell, and then we've got these closes. So if you have a buy signal, it's going to give you a close signal. It's not going to give you a sell, even though that's technically what you're doing. But these are basically longs or shorts, and each of them closes with a close signal. So you can see that at some points without this, just turn it off real quick, you might have no idea when to get in or out on some of these things. And you may have had no idea that to get in on this particular one here. But if we turn this on, yeah, you would have gotten in. Of course, I'm showing you one that worked out really nicely. Whoops. There we go. This buy turned out really nice. Didn't have a close till up there. Now, this is a 4-hour chart. I typically use this for entries on a 5-minute if you're doing short-term time frames. If you want to do longer time frame trading, this would make sense. You've got some short buy and closes here. This was all above the 50. And then the 50 here, you've got sells and closes. So these would have been shorts. And it walks you through exactly how this indicator works, but you can just copy and paste it in here. It makes a big difference. So if we go back to the course, it walks you through, just like we talked about, the intraday system, generally the stock market and crypto direction, then the total crypto market trend. We talk about inside and outside days because some of the days, if they're side by side, aren't as strong as if they're moving upward. Let's see if we can show you that here on a total chart. We'll go into the daily just to give you an idea of what I mean. So you can see this is a great example here of, let's say, this up day. And then the next day started where it closed. Didn't come down at all, just went straight on up. It's a very positive, strong day. You can see here this negative. This one came down, started at the low, and just went straight down. Another strong negative day. So to give you an idea, on a daily, you can see which ones are a little more powerful. This one that had come down and then over, it went up. Not quite as strong, trading in the same range as the day before. Then we talk about multi-time frame confirmation. That's what we went over. That's the idea of looking at it from the forest view of a week. Most importantly, for day trading, a day, 4-hour, 1-hour, 30-minute, 15, 10. And you may find that on different ones, I showed you this is, that's total, where was it, XLM. Let's say we pulled up Uni. And I'll tell you in a moment different ones to take a look at. Okay, you may find oftentimes what I like to do is not only do I use this system, but I also try to trade the same cryptos, the same ones, because I want to learn them. Some of them react very differently to the market as a whole. Some of them might move the exact same way as the market. Let's say we're intraday and we're looking at an hourly chart. Some of them move right along with the market. Market goes down, they go down. Market goes up, they go up. Ethereum is common for that. Bitcoin, of course, because Bitcoin is 60% of the total market. And then others tend to follow, but very differently. I've seen some different patterns with XLM or Uni. You'll learn that over time. So let's talk about the actual crypto picking. Well, these are the top 20. The larger market cap that they have, there's going to be more liquidity in the markets, and sometimes they're not quite as volatile. So yes, you may not get as big of a move, but at least on the downside or upside, if it's going the opposite way of your trade, also won't have as big of a move, and that can be very helpful. So I like to stay with top coins. Ethereum is a very popular one. Bitcoin, of course. Solana is very popular as well. I've noticed that among copy traders, those are their top 3. As you move down here, I just showed you XLM. But I would say top 3 most popular for trading when you first get started, probably Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. They definitely move with the overall market, particularly the crypto market, because Bitcoin and Ethereum are such large market caps. Now, another thing to note, there's this little ruler function. Let me show you. Do I have it on a daily? Whoops. Let me put this on a daily. And I'll show you why. We're going to zoom in here on any of these. Here's a ruler. If we take this green, from the bottom, it's this low of the day to the high of this day. It was 17%. that was a big day. Let's take a smaller one. This one. We grab the ruler again. Let me tell you why I'm doing this. Okay, that's 6%. Okay, so another part of this trading course is to say, if you want to lower your risk, you're not going to take on as much leverage. So instead of 100 leverage or 500 leverage, like 500x or 100x or 50x, 10x, let's just pick that as a nice round number. I like to do that. What does that mean? That means that if you have a 1% move times 10 is 10%. So if you put in $100 on Uni and it went up 1%, since you're using 10x, it would be as if you're controlling 100 times 10, which is 1,000. It's as if you're controlling $1,000 worth. All right. So instead of a 1% move, you've got a 10% move. So you can look at it as you have a 1% move on $1,000 or you have a 10% move on $100. Either way, the math is the same. Let's just stick with you put down $100, you use 10x leverage, and it moved 1%. That's a 10% gain. So your $100 becomes $110. Now you might say, well, that's no big deal. I don't care about $110. Well, you do that daily and you compound your trades, you increase your trades. And I should say within here, I also have another course that shows you the power of compounding. It's called the Compounding Challenge. We go all the way through a spreadsheet to give you an idea of, yeah, those may seem like small gains, but over time, done correctly, they will add up to significant amounts of money. And why do I mention that 1%? I think 10% a day is great. If I can do 10% a day, every day, I'm very happy. Over time, I'm increasing the amount of money I'm putting into my trades. It just keeps growing. So the other point and why I showed you the ruler is because this particular day had a 17% day, or let's just say this one was 13%. Well, can we get a 1% move during the day? Absolutely. It moved 13%. We only want 1%. Times that by 10, that's a 10% move. So if the chart was showing that all these days were barely 1% moves during the day, well, that's not a good day trading one if you're shooting for 1%. If it only moves 1% and you want 1%, you got to nail it. Perfect entry, perfect exit. But if you're just looking for 1% within a 13% day, you should be able to eke out 1% during that day. And if you see consistently, there's some small days in here, but over time, if you see that, hey, let's just say most all of these were 10% or greater, well, there you go. You should be able to eke out 1% in those 10% days. So you take all of these different factors and you put them all into using an indicator that takes on some of the work for you, because I also have it set up with alerts. So it'll put a message up here in the corner if it thinks it's a good time to enter a long or a short. It shows you how to set that up. It also has not just the visual alert, but it can set off an alarm, make sound. And if you're using TradingView on your phone, it will also give you the alerts on, as long as you have the TradingView app open, it'll give you alerts on that as well. Actually, I'm not sure if the app needs to be open. I get alerts all the time that pop up. And then I look and say, okay, do I want to enter or exit, depending upon the trade. Within all of the exchanges, last thing I'll say, I do have another course which shows you exactly how to use the exchanges so that you can set stop losses, which means if it goes the opposite way you want it to go, you can close the trade so you don't lose too much, or take profits. So if it does get to a level you want to get out. So sometimes I don't like to leave trades open. I prefer to day trade on short time frames. That's what this teaches. And that way you're in and out and everything happens while you're in front of your computer. Crypto is incredibly volatile. It is incredibly risky. So I like to try to just minimize my risks as much as possible. Why do I bother doing it? Because it is so volatile. And for me, that's opportunity. It may not be for you, but this is a system that I think is worth taking a look at. Again, it's got the complete system as well as the indicator that you can download and add, and it walks you exactly through how it works. You know why it's doing this, and other indicators that you can use to help confirm some of these signals. Because sometimes it can get really choppy This area was pretty nice. That was pretty nice. These were really close buy, sell signals. How great they were would really depend on adding other things like RSI and volume. Teaches all how to do that. So there should be, hopefully, if I did it properly, there's a link below this video or on the screen, and also a link in the description. If you're interested, take a look at the Crypto School. And if I go to the About page, it'll show you this is what it looks like, and you can sign up. Thanks. Hope this was helpful. I always like to say I hope we can all make money in cryptocurrency. For me, that's why I'm in crypto. I'm in crypto to make money. There's various ways to do it.